Finding heart. When hearing the word heart, some people think about the organ that pumps blood throughout our bodies. Others think about love. For me, heart embodies the journey I took toward finding my life's purpose. That journey made me bring it all down to an acronym I coined after the word heart itself. H stands for healing. E stands for education. A, awareness. R, realization. And T for transformation. Healing for me begins with my parents. Financial struggles were always on my parents' minds. My father in particular, which led him to be very hard and structured with me. As we all know, success has different meanings to different people. Growing up, my father loved me very much and pushed me towards success, whatever that meant to him. For my father, it meant sending me to the US of A, ensuring that I did be successful and the family would follow closely behind, realizing the American dream. Rather than listening to and caring about what I wanted to do with my life, my father continuously steered me towards his ideal of the American dream to the point of a physical, mental and emotional abuse. Abuse which now I know stemmed from his fears and anxieties. Fears and anxieties that came from the possibility of me struggling as they did, or worse, to never have achieved success as per their definition of it. But healing does not stop at the wounds inflicted by your parents, does it? Sometimes they come from others who recognize your vulnerability and your need for validation. From the ages of 7 to 15, I experienced various instances of sexual abuse, from family to close friends. I felt the pangs of loneliness hit me, and I started isolating myself from everyone and everything dear to me. I did not know that these were the feelings associated with these experiences. I was oblivious to the effects of trauma, as most of us are. Even as I moved to America to obtain my master's in mechanical engineering, with those feelings as bag and baggage. The effect of these experiences on me echoed into my first marriage, which was arranged by our parents. My first wife and I were young. At this time, therapy was not as readily accessible or accepted as it is now. Because I was still struggling with my trauma, I felt the need to tell my wife about my experiences the best I could. My wife was beyond what I could appreciate at the time. But due to my inability to address the abuse, I took it in my stride. However, it manifested itself negatively in my marriage. It was on a level that was hyper-physical, yet I was just yearning for intimacy. Even after having children with my first wife, I still experienced a real sense of lacking that I could not explain, which led me to my second wife, whom I met, still married to my first. How was I supposed to navigate hurting my first wife, a woman I genuinely cared for, the mother of my children, waiting back home for me in India, to be with the woman I fell in love with and had a connection with? That something was probably I was yearning for all along. Without knowing that, I was not prepared for it. I was just following my heart. But this predicament led me into a deep depression, which meant letting my entire family down, including my children. My second wife displayed an intense focus and deep initial interest in me, which led me to fall in love with her unconditionally. This love led me down a path through which I hit rock bottom, falling into the deepest rut of depression. Yes, we eventually married, had children, ended in divorce. It was the most painful and saddening heartache I have ever known. Here I was, 50, twice divorced, father of 3, who broke every rule in search of love. On top of that, I felt guilt a guilt about letting myself down, my family down, and above all, nothing of it was in my control. This leads me to the E. I did not see it then, but it turned out that finding and losing what I thought was the love of my life was a critical turning point, helping me learn about myself. The heaviness of striving to make someone love me the way I so desperately needed was replaced by my focus on striving to love myself as well. It freed me to dive into the process of learning who I am, learning about my body, my mind, and my soul. I found myself free all of a sudden and entered one of the most introspective periods of my life. My education in learning how to heal and help myself was through books and yoga and meditation. A book that really stood out to me was Think Like a Monk, Train Your Mind for Peace and Purpose Every Day by H.E.A.R.T. Something he said that I still remember to this day is, if you don't break your ego, life will break it for you. I held on to that quote as I navigated this period of my life. I was humbled, to say the least. So it became even more precious to me when, from the same book, I landed on this golden nugget. Take some time to get to know yourself better. Build your self-esteem. Invest in your growth. If you're lost yourself in the relationship, find yourself in the heartbreak. Through introspection and therapy, I was able to develop a strong sense of who I was after all these life experiences. And yes, I did find myself in heartbreak. Which leads me to the A. Awareness. I became deeply aware that I was seeking love and validation from outside sources, and I lacked awareness of my own value. Sometimes the hardest pill to swallow is the one that heals you. The awareness led me to something greater than I could imagine. It was as though I gained the ability to observe myself. I could see myself outside of situations that once would trigger me and recognize my behavioral patterns while experiencing it. This awareness allowed me to remain calm in these situations or have delayed, more thought-through reactions. Through working on my trauma and mental health, it led me to the R. The true realization that my experience would be able to help others understand themselves. Many of us know the transformative power of heartbreak, but most of us never meet ourselves at the end of it. It is only through searching deep in our own hearts that we land at that insurmountable T. The transformation you experience is everything to who you end up with, which is ultimately yourself and the love you find in yourself. This version of you is priceless. This version of you is still a work in progress and might fall back on old patterns. But being able to recognize them as not who you are is what real transformation looks like. It is so powerful of a self-evolution that it leads to a real identifiable change in your community, your family, and most importantly, your experience of your own life. You are now fully aware of the part you play in your experiences, and that is worth more than any dream I came to this country in search of. The real achievement of success is not from outside of ourselves, but from within. To go from an all-time low to the height of where I am today is a testament to the power of finding heart, and it has become a mission to help others find theirs. Thank you for your time.